Hey everyone, welcome. My name is Ari Santiago 99. This is introducing something I'm calling a critique report. It is the following episode of my playlist on Oculus. The concept that causation does not equal correlation. This will act as almost a book report. I accessed this template via Google Docs under the book report setting. So it will seem a lot like a book report, and that's what I wanted to do because I'm a huge bookworm, perhaps figuratively speaking. So I really hope you all enjoy this. I know Oculus can be a lot, especially with philosophy. It can be a lot to dive into metaphysics and even like epistemology, theories and knowledge and logic. So to kind of slow things down, I am taking on the counter argument philosophy than my usual philosophy of preference, which is logic. Logical philosophy, love-based philosophy, Catholic philosophy. This is not to say that relativism is the opposite of logic and love. However, relativists are usually our great debating partners in schools of logic. So this is the 12th of June, 2023, and we can hop right into Oculus and introduce this page a bit more. So the video we are evaluating today is called Everything Wrong with Oculus, posted on YouTube by CinemaSins. As of 8 years ago, huge shout out to CinemaSins. This is a phenomenal YouTube page that has over 9 million subscribers on this page, and they do a really good job of presenting arguments for these different movie critiques. And with any movie critique, one needs to be gentle, and they're still up and running, making new videos. So I believe that is indicative of their gentle nature in American intellectualism. So I believe that's great, right? Okay. The second aspect of this is CinemaSins as a YouTube channel. I believe this is more of a blog channel than a vlog channel. We can get into the ontology of a blog and a vlog on a later video. However, that is where I stand right now. There was an Illustrator stipulation here that I chose to function without. Full disclosure, Oculus is a horror movie, so we were talking about a horror movie, so if the concepts seem kind of eerie, although we're getting very philosophical with this video, so, but still, if the concepts seem kind of creepy or eerie, feel free to pause the video. We will be taking a pause for a minute once this video hits 5 minutes. But feel free to exercise your free will to kind of take whatever you need and take the time you need. Number 4, I'm going to say after I take a huge breath because I talk really fast in English. Hey everyone, welcome back. I took about a 1 minute breath and we led into the 5 minute 1 minute break. So here we are back. I was just leading into number 4 without making a leading question. The purpose of this report is to further develop the ontological concept presented in the movie Oculus that proposes causation does not equal correlation. Moreover, this episode of CinemaSins is being used and utilized and evaluated in order to identify ontological concepts that can be deconstructed at particular intersections. This ultimately promotes goodwill by identifying the positive aspects of criticism. Furthermore, it indemnifies CinemaSins from being responsible for any allegedly defamatory actions in the criticism of this film. More concisely, for defamation there must be damages, malice, and a misrepresentation of facts, also known as presenting untrue facts as true facts, i.e. 2 plus 2 equals 57. Reading Rainbow Tip. We will make some stipulations, which in legalese is defined as a preliminary statement or a premise, for the purpose of an equitable and equal understanding. In other words, this is what we know. Premise number 1. There are mathematical truths, such as 2 plus 2 equals 4. Also, x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Premise number 2, there are also scientific truths, such as Newton's third law of gravity. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Lastly, the third premise is there are also philosophical truths, such as luck epistemology is a theory of knowledge that proposes some things produce information directly and evidently derived from luck or happenstance. This concept relates to various schools of Buddhism. So we can hop into our conclusions now, yes. School of philosophical thought. This critique is taking a logical approach to understanding Oculus. Therefore, as their interlocutor, I will take on a relativist approach to understanding Oculus. Relativism is defined by dictionary.com or vocabulary.com as the doctrine that knowledge, truth, and morality exist in relation to culture, society, or historical context and are not absolute. Humbling encouragement. I am a fierce logician, so taking on a relativist approach will be challenging enough to be entertaining for all of you. Critic eval at 311 on the sin counter. Philosophical concept or literary concept discussed is personification. The critique is regarding Kaylee speaking to a haunted mirror as if the haunted mirror was a person. And I will give you my response after 1 minute and 30 seconds of silence to establish stronger emotional boundaries. See you soon. Hey everyone, welcome back. This is a continuation of the critique on Oculus, or the critique report rather, critique of a critique. My response to the critique, which was Kaylee speaks to a haunted mirror as if it was a person. The critique would be that this is illogical or irrational since mirrors cannot speak back to you. My response is personification utilizes relativist philosophy by proposing a strict barrier, Salman Ali, University of Nevada, or hijab, between dialogue and monologue. That is, Kaylee understands, or allegedly, the communication between the mirror and themselves as something that is non-dialogic, which means they are not speaking to another person. This monologue is appropriate as it functions under the premise that only Kaylee needs to know the concepts in personification necessary to understand the context of the conversation, hence monologue. Applicability. Nursing care, CNA school, activities of daily living, bed making. As developed with clinicians at Kaiser Permanente Chinatown Psychiatry, treating one's bed in the morning as if it was a patient that one was charged with caretaking may increase productivity. This is to say that morally and relatively, treating the bed as a personified iteration of a person may facilitate more fluent nurse care. The monologue that Kaylee in the film is having with the mirror promotes relativism as far as it implies without insinuating that only Kaylee knows the premises for the conversation being held. Therefore, what would follow is that Kaylee also only knows the conclusions being made, or the propositions, the arguments. Therefore, it would be best for the audience to disregard the information possessed or obtained through understanding Kaylee's monologue, since Kaylee is only speaking to themselves, or the mirror in that case. Especially being that no theory in luck epistemology promotes this method of knowledge retention, deriving knowledge through someone else's monologue. Keywords are hearsay, protected information, privileged information, non-admissible evidence. Conclusion, formal conclusion. In many movies, filmmakers and participants often encourage the audience to realize what information is being disregarded and what information is being fairly obtained or portrayed. In virtue epistemology, this will look like integrity-led filmmaking, which is also feminist-friendly. Therefore, the critique's implication that Kaylee speaking to the mirror, haunted or not, is irrational or perhaps immoral, may be logically debunked through relativism, personification, mental strength, and monologue logic. Causation does not equal correlation. Reiteration. Causation does not equal correlation is understood in ontology as the idea proposes that just because two events occur in a similar manner or fashion does not mean those two events are mutually exclusive. In other words, two events being correlated, perhaps meaning they occur at the same module time, does not mean that one caused the other. For example, Mark walks by Susan, then coughs at the same time that Susan drops their apple. Mark coughing did not cause Susan to drop their apple. However, the two events are still correlated as they occurred in similar module times. Intellectual property disclosure. This concept is informed by Professor Duncan Pritchard at the University of California Irvine School of Humanities. See lectures in Upper Division Philosophy, Theories, and Knowledge, aka Epistemology. We will take an approximately 60-second break to establish lovely and strong emotional boundaries. See you soon. Thank you all for your patience and your intelligence in participating in our emotional boundary setting. They benefit me as well as you. Tim's quote: "There's a huge difference between causation and correlation." The critique's response to Tim's proposition proposes that logic does have limits, directly applicable to this situation insofar as the multitude or frequency of correlated events to this particular mirror. I humbly admit here ontology does support this theory that the said mirror may act as an ontological anchor for these high frequency or multitude of events. That is, the mirror is the only thing connecting these 45 murders that happen at the same time, or in the same module time, similar times. In other words, if the same thing happened with the mirror being present at every single event, this would produce a module of possible worlds that may support the illusion that the mirror is in fact haunted. However, in a world where the mirror is haunted and the mirror is not haunted, the only difference between these worlds would be the presence of the mirror. Since these module worlds, let us call them 45 in number, all have an ontological anchor, the mirror, the only thing that will make these possible worlds different is not just the mirror. Historical context. Perhaps the chain of custody of this particular mirror, for instance, has been interrupted with a lookalike, a duplicate, or manipulated chain of custody. For example, perhaps for years a club of mirror enthusiasts have taken on a particular style of horror movie-looking mirrors. This would explain the seemingly identical mirror styles, the easily accessible correlation over the history of these mirrors, and the ability of Kaylee to find all of this information without disrupting their daily activities. Philosophical concept, history of philosophy. Critique analyze. It is illogical for 45 different murders to occur around the same mirror without the mirror directly causing or influencing those murders. Applicability. Circumstantial evidence. In legalese, circumstantial evidence is defined as evidence that may overwhelmingly insinuate a particular cause to an event. However, considering circumstantial evidence proves to be more punitive than probative. In other words, the evidence considers nonsensical stereotypes, for instance, and presents them as rational evidence. I will also stipulate that circumstantial evidence alone is inadequate. However, aided by other forms of evidence may prove to be helpful, i.e. virtue ethics, proving to provide reliable testimony through diligent actions and competent demeanor. To be continued. Hey everyone, this was really fun today. This philosophy talk. I really had a blast doing this little spiel on philosophy with all you. I believe this was one of the funnest videos I've made so far on YouTube or Spotify. So thank you all for sitting here with me and talking about all the nerd stuff with me. I do also want to disclose as intellectual property disclosure and perhaps to identify some supporters of myself and these philosophical concepts. But of course, Vanderbilt University for their dictionary, vocabulary.com for their dictionary, and linkspringer.com for their dictionary. I hope all of you have a great night, morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever in the world you may be. This has been really fun, and I'll see you in our next iteration. Bye. I'm Ari Santiago.
Isn't it pure perfection? Cute, thinking polite, stereotype, got your full attention. Things that you can play with me, you better watch your back. The last thing that you hear would be my laugh. Cause baby doll skill, don't provoke us or we will push you downhill. Might be pretty but we're still bitter as much as we're sweet. Knife hidden under the sheets, baby, don't skill. Don't provoke, cause oh, we will. Go. Steel. How does it feel to be walked all over? Nails leaving a trail, counting pigtails, blood drips down your shoulder. Baby, there's power in numbers, better when all of your friends. You're done to listen to no one. We all know how this ends. Don't skill, don't provoke, cause oh, we will push you downhill. Might be pretty, but we're still bitter as much as we're sweet. Knife hidden under the sheets, baby, don't skill. Don't provoke, cause oh, we will.